read the text. We have no reason to feel smug about America's troubles. I will be starting with an introduction of the non-fiction text, and then I will move on to my analysis, which will be including a short summary and the structure of the text. The text is called "We Have No Reason to Feel Smug About America's Troubles." The speaker or author is Fraser Nelson, who is a British political journalist and editor of the Spectator magazine, a British conservative weekly magazine. The text is from The Telegraph, which is a website, and it is a conservative UK broadsheet newspaper. It was published the 22nd of August 2014. The topics Fraser Nelson talks about includes American poverty and the agreements they have. The author compares America to Great Britain, which he thinks is a better country if the topic is to be social matter. The people who would be reading this article would be politicians and people over 20 who has a deeper understanding of how the system works. It could probably be anyone from the United States or Great Britain. The author has a lot of arguments. One of his claims is that America is a better place to be rich. The danger is because the rich people have the opportunity to move away from the poverty, and this makes the data trustworthy because it is a bigger country. The author talks about how different America is compared to Great Britain. The American treats their poor people very bad and do not have the same order as Great Britain. The author talks about how U.S. economy is bad compared to the rest of the world. He does also intimate that Great Britain has its own problems, but they are not as interesting as the US. At last, he talks about how the depraved are being failed by the educational system. The author used logos and egos in his way of appealing to the receiver. There is a headline called "We Have No Reason to Feel Smug About America's Troubles," and there's a subheading which complements the headline, and then there's a body text, and the text doesn't really have a conclusion. The tone is very subjective because the receiver is not in doubt about where the author's position is. Fraser Nelson used contrasts as a rhetorical device to support his point of view. The author's intention is to argue that the US is wrong, is moving into in a wrong direction. The text is outdated compared to today, but the author have some good points in his way of arguing, but he don't have facts or measurings that shows us that it is a reliable text. Other example of argumentation is that America is a less compassionating country compared to Great Britain. An example from the text would be, we tend to watch reports from poor American states with a shudder, thankful that our country is wrong along different, more compassionate lines. The data behind the claim is that Fraser Nelson believes that the US doesn't care about their poverty and is moving away from it. So there will be a bigger difference in social class. The text doesn't use many rhetorical devices, but do have a lot of argumentation instead. As I mentioned before, Fraser Nelson does have an intention with the text. The intention is to argue that the US is moving in a wrong direction, but also for the US to realize that they have to do something different. Fraser Nelson implies that America could learn a lot by looking at the British welfare model. I have compared the text by Fraser Nelson with the text Xenophobe's Guide to Americans, where there is a contrast to Fraser Nelson's text. Xenophobe's Guide to Americans is complimenting the US by saying they have a strong social society, which is different from the Fraser Nelson's text. The Xenophobe's text talks about the US nationalism and identity with a more objective point of view than the Fraser Nelson's text. Fraser Nelson's text talks more about how the US is going in a wrong direction compared to Great Britain, as opposed to the other text, which is talking more about their good views as a country. It doesn't focus on economy and poverty as Fraser Nelson's text do. Yes, a xenophobe is someone who is afraid of foreigners.